how do you shut the parents up? Like if you have, I'm like, you have a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, you take him into the office. 6 hours later, he's banging his head on the wall.
And you know what I say to those parents who don't want to believe and they want to call me the anti-vaxxer? I send them blessings and I send them prayers. What about all these doctors who are losing their licenses? What are they doing? What about all these doctors who've been scrutinized, and not even doctors?
All right, this is the Unspecial Podcast. Today I am joined with the infamous Tracy Slepcevic. She is a certified integrative health practitioner, speaker, and Air Force veteran. She's the best-selling author of Warrior Mom, A Mother's Journey in Healing Her Son with Autism. Great book. And the founder of Autism Health, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, as well as the Autism Health Summit, an annual autism conference, which is coming up here in April, here in San Diego. And she is also educated in the field of complementary and alternative medicine and has dedicated over 17 years to researching various treatments and therapies for individuals with autism and other neurological disorders. Tracy, welcome. Thanks for being on.
Well, thank you, Zach, for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And so Tracy has been a huge influential person in my family's journey. I went to the Autism Health Conference in April of 25. And honestly, I saw an Instagram post or something. And I was like, oh, this looks awesome. It's in San Diego. I'm going to go. And in my mind, I was like, I just want to learn more about autism. Because as all our listeners know, I taught autism primarily for 7 years in the classroom. And so I said, I didn't really look into it much. I just went for it and I bought a ticket and I showed up and I was blown away. Just all the speakers and all the science and all the biomed. It really opened my eyes to it. And then I remember we were like pretty new into our cancer journey. And I went around in the exhibits and I started asking all the smart people, the scientists and doctors. I'm like, hey, what would you do if your wife had cancer? And then all of them said Mexico, Mexico, Mexico. And then the second day, I sent in an inquiry during one of the presentations to the clinic that she's at right now at Hope for Cancer. And Oasis of Hope was another one. And then conveniently, I became buddies with Krista, who's on your board, and I believe the secretary now.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. And then we got on the phone. I don't even think we met at the conference. I don't know.
No, we met on the phone.
On the phone, yeah. And so she got us on the phone, and then I just essentially started following what you were advising to us. So thank you for being a part of my family's journey.
Oh, absolutely. And you learn so much. It's about addressing underlying conditions, and there's a lot of underlying conditions, not just for autism, but for cancer and everything else that ails. So it's about getting to the root cause of it. So even if somebody, is dealing with something like cancer or, any other ailment, the conference is a wealth of information for addressing underlying conditions. And I say over and over to people, I'm like, well, apparently then we all have autism, because it's all biological. It's all under,
Oh, that's true.
It's all underlying. You got to address those conditions, instead of putting a Band-Aid on it.
Right. And also Tracy was kind enough to review my book, Special Days. And so here we are. But so you've been at this for 17 years. And I know you chronicle all of it in your book. But take me back to the beginning. Where did it all start?
So it started when Noah was about 18 months old, and I took him in for his well baby visit, and he received his MMR and varicella vaccines. And within 24 hours, he broke out in a full body rash, which they told me was a rash, but actually it turned out to be measles. And then I kept asking the doctor over and over, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, this is normal. It's all normal. And then over, the next 3 to 6 months, I started to see a severe regression in Noah. He lost all his speech, any baby words he had, his eye contact, cognitive function, motor skills. His motor skills like tanked. A kid who we used to call our little monkey, and he used to climb everything, could no longer climb anything. He could walk. I'm grateful for that. But he did lose a lot of the skills to be able to climb, to jump, to, anything that required strength and coordination. He was unable to do anymore. And then I would ask over and over what was wrong. And my pediatrician would tell me over and over it was normal. And after a while, I started to get reports back from, preschools. I'm sorry, your kid has special needs. We can't care for him. Harbor Regional Center, who lost our paperwork at first, and was supposed to forward it on to a clinical psychologist, was like, he's either got autism or ADHD and just kicks me out the door. After a while, I asked the pediatrician, and I'm like, is it possible my son could have autism? And she just looks at him for a second, and he's spinning her stethoscope round and round and round and round and round. Very repetitive, very common of an individual with autism. And she's like, no, that's pretend play, and kids with autism don't do pretend play. So I'm here to tell you from a parent's perspective that a pediatrician is not equipped to diagnose or not diagnose with autism. So you need the evaluation of a clinical psychologist. So I always say in those moments, God sends me angels. And what a perfect, journey it's been. And so we had this woman who came to work for us at the front desk. And, I came in crying one day because second preschool, I'm sorry, we can't care for your child. And she said, tell me more. And so I was talking to her, and lo and behold, she had a son with autism. And she said, well, your son's 3 now, so he could be evaluated through the school district. And I'm like, okay. Well, luckily by then we were in a pretty good school district as to where Launch Preschool in Torrance District was phenomenal. And they did an exceptional evaluation, which was about 3 hours long. 5 different ladies evaluating all his skills and being very thorough. Now, a school cannot diagnose, so she told me to take that report and actually go back to the regional center where I did get a formal diagnosis from a clinical psychologist. So it was a long road. And by the time Noah actually got his diagnosis, it was right before his fourth birthday.
Like 2 years.
And that's a long time.
Yeah.
And we were back and forth, but I was happy once the preschool said, we find that Noah is autistic-like. So those are the words that they typically use. And that same day, I went back to the office and I saw my naturopathic doctor in the hallway. And there's my second angel, Dr. Burka, is so amazing. And he looked at me and he said, Noah's going to be fine. You just need to go home and you need to do your homework because kids are making great strides with biomedical intervention. And I'm like, well, I didn't know what biomedical intervention was. I was a psychology student. But I quickly sucked the tears back up into my eyes, went home, and I had all kinds of hope. And that's my journey, because I really want to give that hope to other families and other parents that there is hope. Even if, let's say, your child doesn't regain their speech, they're spellers. We've partnered with the spellers community. Dawn Marie Gavin is doing an amazing job in regards to getting this information out there. They did the Spellers documentary. And so this community is coming a long way. So if, it's still good to address those underlying conditions because we don't want our kids to be sick. And a lot of them are. A lot of them have pre-genetics. So I'm here to say you have, most of these kids have pre-genetic conditions such as MTHFR, mitochondrial disorder. And those are the things that load the gun. And then you have your environmental factors. It could be vaccines, it could be glyphosate, your processed foods, it could be the stuff they're spraying in the air, genetically modified foods, acetaminophen. It's true. I have a woman who is on my board who has twins that she never vaccinated, but she had to take Tylenol throughout her pregnancy for preeclampsia, and they are very severe. So there's a number of things. I could give you the laundry list, but addressing those things, removing those things, making people aware of what they are is the most important thing. But I don't want people to focus on the doom and gloom. I'm a solutions girl. So I want people to focus on what can we do? What are the different types of treatments and therapies? And we really start with the gut. So the gut is the baseline. If you want to skip the gut, then those other treatments and therapies are not going to be as effective as Zach, that it's super important to address the gut first, clean up the gut, and then, you lay this foundation for, other types of treatments and therapies to actually work and to work, at their best. So that's what we did with Noah. We, me and him went on this beautiful journey of cleaning our guts out and, some supplements because he had so much antibiotics that he was so full of yeast. So yeast will line the gut and the intestinal wall to inhibit the body's ability to absorb all your proteins and your nutrients and vitamins. So we had to do some IV pushes, and then we also implemented some vitamins once we started to clean out the gut. We did hyperbarics. We've done stem cell therapy. You can ask me about stem cell therapy all day long. I love it.
Yeah.
We've done so much. We've done MERT, which is a form of TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. We've done biofeedback, which he didn't really respond to. There's so many different things that we've done. I write about the basic protocol that I followed back then in my book. But there's so much more. Now we've partnered with Dr. Dan Goodnow and Goodnow Enterprises for plasmalogen supplementation. We just recently partnered with CPI, Cellular Performance Institute, right over the border in Mexico. To do a clinical trial for autism. So we're going to be starting that soon, and I'm over the moon about that one. And we just started an independent study. When I find companies who are willing to donate like supplements, I'll document whether they've worked for these kids, so these families can actually get the supplements for free. And so I'm doing my best to, until I get some big donors or some grants, or if you know any grant writers, let me know. I need one.
I'll think of someone. So those 2 years from 2 to 4, you're in limbo, and you have a daughter as well. She's older or younger?
She's older.
Older.
She's actually my stepdaughter,
Okay.
but we're very close. We weren't close back then because her mom kind of poisoned her against me, but things have changed now that she just turned 25.
Oh,
her
wow.
birthday was just the other day.
Okay.
So she is older than Noah. She's got Noah by about 4.5 years, and but she's a great big sister to him.
Yeah. In those 2 years of limbo, how did you keep it together? I mean, every single day had to have been high stress, and especially as much as I know you and your personality, your solutions. And so 2 years of not being able to solve the problem had to have been pretty challenging.
It was, but I think the hardest part of it was, the whispers and when I would take Noah to the park and, parents' ignorance was the hardest part, honestly. And the fact that I couldn't, take him too many places in public because of sensory overload. He would freak out and just scream. It was even hard to travel with him and get him in a car seat. He was so strong. And there's a number of challenges, but in regards to, at least Noah was very snuggly. Like he wanted to be held. You do have those children that don't want to be held, and I valued those moments. And it was just he and I. And even though, at times he would just scream at me because he couldn't talk anymore, we would dance and play, and it was, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. A part of me, even though it was challenging, I wish I could go back and, have that little guy back, because now he's 20. He's like, Mom, really?
He's too old now. So when did you start seeing some shifts and improvements?
So when I first started, I started with the diet because I read Jenny McCarthy's book before I had my appointment with a functional medicine doctor, which I highly recommend. And she talks about gluten-free, dairy-free. And so I had started gluten-free, dairy-free. I became a research junkie. When Dr. Burka said that there was hope, I dove in, and I started going to conferences. I read books. You could do Google searches back then for healing autism. Can't do that no more.
Shut down.
I'm trying to do it now. And there was a lot of information. So I really just dove into the healing portion of it. I wasn't going to settle for what the neurologists and the doctor said, that Noah wasn't going to live a functioning life. And, he was doomed to this, this small little box, and that I would have to take care of him for the rest of his life. But what I do tell parents is you have to have the right mindset. Where your mind goes, energy flows. And in my mind, the only thing there was that Noah was going to live this fully functioning life. And so that was the direction that I took. So we started with diet, and then we, went to supplements. But I saw almost an immediate reaction when I removed gluten and dairy. He started spitting out words. And I was strict. And when I say I was strict, like, if I even thought that it had gluten in it, I didn't. And we just really ate real food. But once we got Noah's stool test back, we also had to remove any type of sugar and refined carbs. I did give him potatoes because, when you have a kid who likes to eat French fries, and most autistic kids do.
Right.
So I made them at home, though, in good oil, and or I would bake them. But it was quite the journey. But I would say within a month or so, I started to get him to spit out words.
Wow. Amazing. It just goes back to the system saying there's nothing you can do. And definitely don't listen to that. So what is he up to now? He's 20.
He's 20. I know. He's super liberal, by the way. He's been so programmed.
Oh, no.
I apparently couldn't intervene in that. But
you couldn't do it all.
He is such a good kid, though.
Okay.
He doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't do anything wrong. So he works full time. He dropped out of school. He was, all through high school, he did film. And then he went into college, and he didn't get the support in college that he got in high school. So he's like, Mom, I just want to drop out of school, work full time, and travel the world. And I'm like, go for it. You're going to pay for it, though. Yeah. So he does. He works almost every day. I think he takes maybe Sundays off, but he works, and he saves up for whatever trips he wants. Last year he went to London, Japan.
Wow.
Japan was like 3 weeks. And New York, and then he just got back from Orlando.
Good for him.
Now, I can't say there aren't bumps in the road. So,
He goes by himself?
London, he missed his bus to get to the flight, so then I had to hurry up and like pay for an Uber, which was a pretty expensive Uber ride. But I'm like, I have to get my kid on his flight. But he woke up like panicking. He's like, my phone died, and but we got him to his flight on time. When he went to Orlando last week, he missed his flight coming home, and he's like, Mom, I don't know what to. He's calling me like nonstop at 5 a.m. And so yeah, he, I tell him, because initially he beats himself up. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I can't believe that I did this. This is, and I'm like, you're not. You made a mistake. And that's what we do in life. We make mistakes and then we learn from our mistakes. The first flight I ever booked in my life, I missed it.
Yeah.
And I was quite normal functioning.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's been such a beautiful road. He's a free bird.
Wow.
He just travels with his friends, or sometimes he travels on his own. He went to New York by himself. He went to London by himself. He doesn't care. He just,
That's great.
loves theater. So he wants to see everything in theater. That's why he loves London, because they have so many Broadway shows there. And he goes to some that are here, and he just loves theater. And I think that's what he really wants to do, but he needs to start small and jump into some acting classes or something. I don't know.
That's so awesome. That's great. So would you say, or would you define the word heal? Does he show
Yes.
any
It doesn't mean cure. It doesn't mean fix. It doesn't mean change. So I'm just telling you the three things that it does not mean. Healing means addressing those underlying conditions associated with autism or whatever is ailing, and to get them to a functioning state, right? Or to get them feeling better. Let's say that they don't regain a lot of functionality, but internally their bodies are going to feel better. There's going to be less self-injurious behaviors when you clean out the gut, because the gut is directly connected to the brain via the nervous system, and if your gut's inflamed, I'm going to tell you your brain is inflamed as well. So we started with that, and he today he's thrown everything that I've ever taught him out the window in regards to diet or even his supplements. It's like pulling teeth to get him to take his supplements. But he goes to see a trainer 3 days a week.
Okay.
We did have our struggles with that in regards to him gaining weight from getting his hands on sugar, because he was never given it. So he was like, ooh, this stuff tastes good. He's like, Mom, you never gave me these foods and they taste so good. I said, because they're not food. So I didn't give them to you. I don't think I was supposed to.
And red food dye.
Yes. I mean, we go back and forth, and then of course he thinks he listens to the narrative, and he thinks that Bobby's the devil, and he thinks that Andy Wakefield's the devil, and I'm like, listen, these people have made huge sacrifices, huge, for kids like you, but it's okay.
But
he's on his own perfect journey. You know that chapter in my book where I named it "Let Go and Let God"?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now you're at the point. He's 20, so now that's all you can do. You've done your job.
Yes.
Did everything you can. He's healed, and now he's got to make his own choices, which I imagine is hard as a parent. And I know, even like going through a cancer journey, everybody has their opinions on the decisions I make. And ultimately, it has to come down to let go and let God. Yeah. So what's his job? He's a film producer?
No. So he actually just he delivers food for like Uber, for other companies. So he just does food delivery because he doesn't like dealing with people.
Hey, I don't blame him.
I mean, he's normal functioning. He plays it off. Honestly, he's great at playing it off. I don't take his autism diagnosis away from him.
Uh,
He's still somewhere on the spectrum, but if we had him evaluated today, he probably wouldn't have a diagnosis.
mhm.
But he is super high functioning, and when you talk to him, unless he plays this game when I introduce him to my friends where he's like, and I'm like, really? So, but he does really well. He has a great little group of friends that he's had since the beginning of middle school.
uh,
They are super supportive, and they're a great group of kids. And he's just living the life.
yeah, yeah, living it up. So would you say,
But he gets to be responsible.
and then he's gonna get married at some point? Fun. Would you say autism is a medical crisis?
Yes, I say autism is, well, it's biological.
Yeah.
It's which is, there's something going on. Like I said, you can have the pre-genetics, and I'm not saying that there's pre-genetics that genetics are not a factor, but they're just a factor.
Uh-huh.
And you can have those pre-genetics, but you got to have something that pulls the trigger.
So why does this make people so uncomfortable?
Honestly, I don't know. If somebody came to me before I even knew about any of this stuff and said, hey, this is dangerous, or that's dangerous, or you should really do this, I would have totally 100% done my research. Like, hands down,
Yeah.
done my research. And I would have been so open-minded, but man, I don't understand it. I don't understand people who are programmed to believe the narrative. I don't understand a lot of people's decisions, like the moms that popped a whole bottle of Tylenol because of their hatred for Trump. I don't understand that. I it doesn't resonate with me at all. And why? Be open to the possibilities. Be open to the possibilities. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple. Even with cancer, what you're dealing with in your family, you're open to all possibilities, or you wouldn't be traveling down this road that you're on.
Right. Well, yes, like anything, it should be looked into and tried. And the benefit of non-toxic and biomed stuff is it's not bad for you. So it's like it's a win-win. Like, oh, this didn't work. Oh well, at least it helped my liver or some other part of your body. Um, yeah. So then, who benefits when they say when autism is treated as untreatable? Who?
Well, big manufacturers, big
Yeah.
pharma, big food companies, Monsanto.
Right.
I there's so many there's so many people that benefit from this narrative that's going around.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is hope because there's so many stories such as yours of healing going down. Like you can't deny it. And then there's so many stories of vaccine injuries that you can't deny. Like I've always, whenever anybody asks me, like, "Oh, you're anti-vax or blah blah blah,"
Amen.
yeah, I know, and I said, "Okay, if you can answer this one question for me, then I'll be open to whatever else you have to say after it. How do you shut the parents up? Like if I'm like, you have a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, you take him into the office. 6 hours later, he's banging his head on the wall. Is that a coincidence? Like parents' intuition is everything, and it's even like with any chronic illness. But they say, "Oh, it's normal." There's nothing normal about it. When you think about how God made the body, and then you put all of these artificial things into it, and then you have reactions, it's like normal, sure. I don't know.
And there are no such things as coincidences.
No.
Everything happens for its own perfect and divine reason. And you know what I say to those parents who don't want to believe and they want to call me the anti vaxxer? I send them blessings and I send them prayers. And I say to myself, and sometimes I say to them, you're on your own perfect journey.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best. You are on your own perfect journey. And this is how your journey is supposed to be laid out. I mean, they're choosing the hard road, unfortunately for them and their child. But I can I sit here and tell you,
Say it.
Kristen wouldn't mind like me saying this. The first time, my first encounter with Krista, she just lost it on the phone with me, and it was before my first conference. She was signing up for the practitioner ticket, so she can get the CME credits, and she just calls me and just goes off, and she's like, nobody's doing anything and this is happening, and yeah, and I said, whoa, slow your roll. What am I doing? What I mean, and what about all these doctors who are losing their licenses? What are they doing? What about all these doctors who have been scrutinized? And not even doctors. Let's talk about like Bobby Kennedy, all of them that are being drugged through the mud and called all kinds of names and nasty articles about them.
Yeah.
For wanting to do the right thing,
Right.
or doctors who take an oath to do no harm. And that blows my mind, because they're not all doctors, but there are many that are not living up to their oath, which is really sad. So and you know, Krista just wants to talk. So I'm like, I'm listening. I'm being an effective listener. And I'm like, at some point, you have to stop shouting at me, because I am not your enemy. I'm the friendly.
I'm trying to help.
But I want to say this. We love Krista.
Oh, yeah.
So Krista is super amazing. She is super dedicated. She is a phenomenal mother. Man, that woman is detailed. She goes the distance for Joey, and my hat's off to her. And she goes the distance for the organization as well. I'll you know, when I'm telling all my board members, hey, share this post, I might get a few people, including my husband. But Krista, man, she shares it without even having to tell her to do something. Right. And she shares it. She double shares it. She triple shares it.
Yeah. She's a great person to
we'll
have.
Start calling parents. You know, I love her. When it comes to certain parents, I honor both sides. I honor those who choose to vaccinate or choose to do whatever it is that they're doing. I honor that vote, and I honor those who don't. I feel I want to be a mutual party. I don't want to be the me against you, the right against the left, the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. I don't want to be that person. I want to listen to every person. I want to listen to every parent. And, you know, the science says it. It's very clear. There's very clear data.
It's settled, though.
Yes. So but I have to, as we call it, honor the lower vote.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at too. I mean, obviously everyone kind of knows where I stand, but I think that's the issue, is when you silence people and shut them down, and you can't even have just an open conversation. because I don't know what it is, lack of maturity, maybe. Um,
Oh.
but
I think in a way, yes. And then there's a programming
mhm,
going on. I can't wrap my head around that either.
yeah,
How is it? Is it, you know, what they're exposed to environmentally that's, making them susceptible to programming? I know that individuals on the spectrum are highly susceptible to programming based on results of my kid.
oh wow,
Um, right?
wow,
So, and and I was told when Noah came home during COVID times that he was watching CNN news every day in class, and I'm like, "Excuse me?" And he said, "Yeah, we do it for current events." And I'm like, "Well, not anymore."
yeah,
So I immediately call the school. I call an IEP meeting, and then I said, "All right, we're going to implement a few things in his IEP, starting with no news, not CNN news, not any news. He is not to watch news because it's nothing but lies."
mhm.
And they're like, "Well, what does he do for current events?" I'm like, "I don't know, figure it out." But but he's not to watch the news. I'm very clear about that. He is not to learn critical race theory. And they're like, "Well, why?" And I'm like, "Because it's useless. There's My kid is not learning anything from that."
uh,
So, number two. Number three, if a vaccine bus ever pulls up out front, or if you ever have a vaccine clinic in your school and my son goes anywhere near it, I said, "I will burn this place down."
mhm.
And they're like, "Vaccine, but why? Why would we do that? Why?" And, oh my God, they were so, whoo.
Wow,
And I'm like, "Oh, what rock are you hiding under?"
right. But that's you bring up something super powerful for parents. And what would you say to parents who are navigating the IEP process, um, which I know is very
Yes.
difficult? And you had a rock star advocate in Carmen Carly,
I
but
do. Her son is now on my board. So
Colin is.
we do have an individual with
Oh,
autism, full-blown autism, on our board, so
yeah,
we can get that inside. Yes, Colin Carley is our new board member.
that's amazing. And Colin is hilarious. I had him.
You should have him on your
I know I
show.
did like 6 months
Oh, you
ago, right
did?
after the conference last year. He
Okay.
spoke, and then he was like, "I do jujitsu, I do construction, I love to surf," and I'm like, "I'm the same person." So right when he finished, I went straight up to him, and I was just like, "I have to meet you," and then we just hit it off because we are into the same things, and then I had him on, and it was an awesome recording.
Carmen told me that before he had spoke at our conference as the representative, with autism, he lacked confidence. He was very depressed.
Hmm.
And afterwards, she's like, "Oh my gosh, he is a whole new person." To him, being a speaker was so huge for him. It was
Wow,
so huge. Yeah.
that's amazing.
So that's big news for us because I'm like, I have to have an individual with autism on my board. It's very important. I have an autism,
Yeah.
nonprofit. So he is our new member.
That's so cool. I can't wait to see him in April. We're trying to go surfing together. But yeah, so what would you say to parents like navigating IEPs?
Oh, navigating, yes. If necessary, hire an advocate. I didn't even have a whole lot of money, and I hired Carmen. She doesn't do it anymore. She retired and sold her business, but find an advocate so you can understand the IEP.
Yeah.
If anything, I didn't understand half the stuff that was in the IEP. And then I realized during this process that they had removed Noah's behavioral support plan without my knowledge. And she's like, well, it's here and now it's gone. And I'm like, well, I didn't sign off on it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And she said, he needs that behavioral support plan. And I'm like, well, yeah, kind of. And so and that was the transition between elementary school and middle school. It was removed. So she had it added back. I mean, she was a bulldog. I just love her. But it did get to a point as to where she said, I'm sorry. I've gone as far as I can go as an advocate. You need an attorney. Noah was being like very verbally abused by the paraeducators that he had.
Oh my gosh.
And I would pick him up and he would be like ridden with anxiety. He would have diarrhea. He'd be sick. He'd get headaches. I mean, I'd wake him up. I'd pick him up and he'd be shaking. And as a mom, especially one who grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, just literally wanted to go postal. And then I had one, I think this is in my book, but I had one paraeducator. We had a log, right, where we can communicate, where she wrote in there, if Noah continues to disrespect me, I am going to have to discipline him to the fullest extent. And I'm like, you idiot. So just so you know out there, paraeducators, bless their heart, they are just glorified babysitters because the only knowledge they have on special needs is a high school diploma. No training. So I took that log and I went into the principal's office uninvited. I threw it on his desk and I said, so tell me how your glorified babysitter, and I used a few little F words in between, is going to discipline my child. And he looked at me like, oh no. And I'm like, oh yes. That screams lawsuit.
Yep.
And then they were like, and I removed him. So my functional medicine doctor wrote a note that Noah was not to return to school until it was a safe environment for him to do so because of the severe anxiety that it was causing. And she was well within her rights to do so. So for over a month, Noah was home and I would pick up his schoolwork like every other day. Wow. And I would do it at home and then I would take it back and I would submit it. And then after, this was during Christmas time, and then after Christmas, they're like, oh, we have a new paraeducator. And the same thing started over again. And it's like, you have a child watching my child, a child who doesn't know autism. And so at that point, I removed him from school again. And I was in the process of getting, enrolling him in homeschool. And then Steve came home from a trip and we went for a walk. And he said, you know what? You've always wanted to move back to San Diego. Let's go. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It only took me 13 years to talk him into moving to San Diego. So within 2 weeks, I found a place to rent and we were moved. How fast I worked.
That's right.
And even when it came to transferring paperwork to the new school, like they dragged their feet. They wouldn't transfer. The school district just did not want to transfer his IEP paperwork. And I'm like, I'm like, I'm going to be a thorn in your butt. I will call you 10 times a day until I see that is all transferred over. And so finally they got it. It took almost a month. Not cool. So it was IEPs, IEPs kind of went off there.
No, but that's all. The big thing is
all part of it, right?
Parents, I don't think they realize how much power they have.
Know what's in those IEPs. Yeah. Goals. Do not sign off on anything unless you feel firmly that they have actually reached that goal. Right. You don't have to sign off on it. Hire an advocate if you feel you need to. If you feel your child is not being well taken care of, looked out for, if they're eloping like mine did a couple times, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hire an advocate. It's worth it. It's worth it, even just for, I think the first time I hired her, all the hours that she did maybe led up to a couple $1,000. And it's a small price to pay for the welfare of a child.
Right.
But these days, this is what I say: homeschool.
Yes.
Because the curriculum and the brainwashing is as bad as them having to be vaccinated to be in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, please, if you can, homeschool.
Yeah. That's a good point. I need to find a guest that homeschools and they have special needs kids. Um, Carmen and I have, I'll say we both did it so I put together a 10 module online course for IEPs so parents can understand how much power they have in these IEPs. And I put it all together and then I hit up Carmen and I was like, hey, I'm a teacher. I have just street language. I'm pretty sure I'm saying some things wrong in this whole thing. Can you review it with me? And so we just got done reviewing all of them. And that's why I say we both did it, because she ripped it apart. But it's coming out in early
She used
March.
to be, just so you know, she was the #1 advocate in the South Bay, LA.
Wow.
Like, her case files, you couldn't see her behind her desk. And it was paperwork back then.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah. So I got the right person on my team. But it's coming out in March sometime. So that's been fun. Yeah.
So we gotta share that at the conference.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll be out before that. Totally.
So we'll do a QR code for it or something. I can put it into my presentation, and
sweet. Yeah.
that would be awesome.
And hopefully,
so I'll put your book, website, QR code to register for it.
Yeah.
Because, oh my gosh. And these parents, because of money situations, need to be their own advocates at times, and they just don't know.
Totally. They don't know what they don't know. And that's the big thing of putting together this course is I don't work for anyone anymore, so I can say whatever I want. And I know how the system works, and it's not in favor of the parent, essentially.
Have you thought about being an advocate?
Carmen brought that up. I was like, I don't know. Maybe when things calm down, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be a lot of
Recoup
fun.
all the funding that we toss into biomedical.
Right. So
I don't think there's ever any recouping.
You just kick the bucket down the road. You just keep.
Yeah.
But what's the early days of Autism Health? How did that come about?
So initially, I started the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I started the conference because back in the day, I used to do conferences. Steve and I actually used to do disaster preparedness summits. We used to do 10 a year. I know.
Oh, wow.
But they were one-day conferences in 10 different cities in the US, and then we would take December and January off.
Okay.
And then I went to work for Hyatt Hotels. I worked for them for 3 years running all their events, especially their corporate events, their conferences. And I always said, wow, I'd love to run an autism event, but I never could compete with Autism One or, any of those Dan conferences or anything back then. And then Autism One, I offered to revamp their conference when it wasn't doing well and help them out. And she was just like, I'm just tired. I'm just done. I don't want to do it anymore. So that was when I started the Autism Health Summit. And then if anybody knows anything about conferences, you usually don't make any money, and you're luckily if you don't lose your ASS
Totally
in running a conference. So my first one, because it was privately funded by me and Steve, we did lose our ASS. And so I said, well, in that case, it deserves to be a nonprofit organization. So I can fundraise for all those scholarships that I gave away and, also help pay for the conference. So it's a 5-star event because I'm all about being a 5-star event.
It is. Definitely
Yes.
is.
I cater to, my sponsors and speakers. Friday night is going to be a nice VIP reception. Saturday eve, or next, actually not a VIP. It's just a cocktail reception for everybody. And then Saturday evening is a VIP dinner sponsored by CPI, Cellular Performance Institute. Mm-hmm. And Sunday, we actually have a lot of speaker panels that I'm excited about. We have the spellers panels, and then I know, right? And then we're going to have, our professionals. So people can just ask them questions for 2 hours. Just ask away. And I'm really excited about that. So this, when you have to pay for, audio visual costs anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 sometimes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Food and beverage. My first event cost probably over $250,000 in total. And I was not being paid. So I just started taking a payroll this year, and I'm 3 years deep into this. Yeah. So and I take a very tiny payroll, way less than I deserve to get paid, but it's okay. It's a labor of love.
Right.
We're actually going to apply for a government grant that is specifically for autism and education. And our newest advisory board member, Dr. James Lyons Wheeler, is going to assist us. Oh, cool. And then he's also going to assist us with raising the funds to pay for the grant writer.
There we go. It's a
gotta raise funds for everything.
Full operation.
So if I can get a grant, because I think they're giving over $350 million in grants for that specific. Yeah. So I got to have somebody good. If I get approved for that grant, that's a game changer. Yeah. Then I can actually pay my speakers, and I can pay for all my volunteers time and flights and accommodations. And right now I'm like, sorry, I can give you a free ticket, but you got to cover your own way. I do my big speakers. I do have to pay a little bit in speaker fees for top speakers. And then I pay for a lot of room and board.
Oh yeah.
But overall, since I'm really stoked that Ed Clay agreed to be our platinum sponsor, and then Dr. Dan Goodnow, European Wellness are my platinum sponsors, and then Satellite Phone Source, my gold sponsor, and then I have so many wonderful silver sponsors, which are a lot of my speakers, and it's just amazing. It just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, so cool. Well, when this podcast takes off, and then it's like just massive, and then everybody's buying the course, I'll be one of those guys. That's the goal. That's the dream.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. So what's who's going to be there this year? It's April 24th.
To April 24th through 26th. Okay. So the 26th is a half day. Mm-hmm. We have a few speakers in the morning, and then we have all the panels. Okay. So, and then it's a wrap up. They give me the venue for, there'll be pre-registration on Thursday. Yeah. So our headline speakers, we have
some big ones.
Series. We have Del Bigtree again. We have Dr. Toby Rogers.
Nice.
We have a lot of our returning speakers, Dr. Dan Goodnow, Dr. Sabine Hazan, Dr. Brian Hooker, Dr. Theo Theohardis.
Who was the Merck one? What was his name? He used to work for Merck. think it was Merck, maybe it was someone else. But he uncovered some study that they hid. Um, I don't know. But he was phenomenal. And then Peter McCullough, Dr. Peter McCullough, he was a great speaker last year.
Yeah, so Peter McCullough will probably bring him back next year.
Mm-hmm.
I can only afford to pay for so many speakers.
Totally. Well,
so I like to change it up. I like to change it up a little bit.
Yeah. But Siri, Aaron Siri will be awesome to hear. And he was just
when he
on
said yes, I'm like, really?
He was on
and then
Dr.
Ed Clay himself. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, he's been on Joe Rogan several times.
Right.
And he runs one of the biggest, you know, stem cell clinics in Mexico. He actually, his lab is supposed to be rated one of the top 8 labs in the world.
Wow.
Right?
Is that the one Rogan goes to?
Yes. So that's where Rogan, all the UFC fighters, Mel Gibson, all of them go. A lot of the stars from LA, they'll travel. It's right over the border. I mean, he did a nice little tour for me and Steve. He had a driver come pick us up over the border and take us. We just parked in this parking lot, and it's state of the art.
I'm gonna be there tomorrow in Tijuana. I'm gonna go find it. I'm gonna be there a week. I got so much time to explore, but I'm gonna go look for it.
Yeah. I wonder if he's available and he's there. He's not always there. Yeah. He lives in Tennessee, and he's actually opening a center in Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
If he's there, I'll see if he can meet up with you for a short time and give you a tour.
Oh, yeah. That'd be so fun. I'll nerd out. All right. Well.
Oh, totally geek out.
Yeah. Well, this has been so much fun. I know we can go down a million rabbit holes, but we'll close it in. And everything you've learned on this podcast can go like exponentially deeper by coming in April to the Autism Health Conference. And if you can't be there in person, it is virtual too, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So they can do virtual. There won't be any Q&A for virtual. They can send their questions to info@Autism Health, and I can get those answered for them.
Okay.
But there won't be any interaction with the live virtual. And then they do, you know, all attendees get the recordings. Whether you're a virtual attendee or you're in-person attendee, you do get the recordings.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll put all of these in the show notes. And this will come out like middle of February. So perfect. What closing thoughts? What would you say to the parents out there who have tried biomedical and aren't seeing any results?
Stop trying. Do it. So there's the trying portion, and then there's the doing. So just do it. You know, just be. So we spend most of our lives trying instead of being, right? And we're all beings. So set a clear intention, be your word, and, you know, regardless of whether it takes or it doesn't take, you just keep going. You already know. It's like a machine. You just keep going and going. And, you know, that's the most important thing, is to just believe.
Yeah.
To believe. So it resonated in every cell in my body that my son was going to be fine.
Yeah.
So that's the important part. Have a little faith, be a part of a community. You know, we do free monthly webinars. We have one this, you know, Saturday. So every month, and then we keep those webinars on our website under autismhealth.com/monthly webinars. And, you know, we started up doing monthly support groups for individuals or even professionals who want to talk to families with autism.
Is that coming up?
And we have fundraisers coming up. So if this comes out in February, we do have one February 21st, Saturday in San Marcos, California, not too far from you, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can, be a community, come together, a bunch of health freedom, autism loving.
Yeah.
Peeps. For more information, they can reach out. They can contact me at info@autismhealth.com.
Okay.
They can also go to warriormom.com for any information on my book. And
all the socials, and come to the conference, and
my Substack.
Oh yeah.
Autism Warrior Mom. I decided not to write a second book because it's so much work. And right? It's so much work. And I'm like, in once you've written it and it actually comes out, then it's yesterday's news. It's just, and everybody's heard it. So I put so much great information on my Substack. So subscribe to my Substack. There's great information on biomedical intervention, diets, news, this, that, but I put it all there.
Yeah, that was an awesome Substack when CDC had that headline that vaccines, they don't have the evidence based. I don't remember what it said, but vaccines cause.
Oh, they lowered the schedule back down to 11, the recommendation schedule.
Yeah.
From 72 to 11. It's fabulous. Of course, it doesn't apply for us here in California.
It doesn't?
No.
Whoa.
Because of AB 144, that's a whole other discussion.
Oh my gosh.
Because of AB 144, you got to read my other Substack that followed it the day after.
Okay, I didn't catch that one.
Newsom, and that bill kind of slipped by us. Nobody even really knew about it until it was on his desk. But that bill takes recommendations for California out of the hands of the CDC and ACIP and puts it into the hands of the California Department of Public Health. So they will follow the full vaccine schedule, and it protects practitioners, doctors in California administering those vaccines if there's injury.
I got to get back.
And then Hawaii and New York are following suit.
I got to get back to Idaho, land of the free. Oh, man. Well, all right.
That's about as conservative as they come.
Yeah, totally. Well, this was just a snippet of the wealth of knowledge that Tracy has. We're so appreciative of you being on. Everyone just really needs to come in April and dive more into it. Bottom line.